Avoid these smart home devices because they are damaging your privacy in the worst ways possible. I investigated smart homes that promise safety control and convenience, but they are actually hidden threats inside people's homes. 13. Smart routers and Wi-Fi mesh systems. I am adding smart routers and Wi-Fi mesh systems to this list because they are the silent backbone of every connected home. And when they fail, everything fails with them. Unlike a smart bulb or a fridge that feeds into a network, your router is the network. It is the gateway that every device trusts to talk to the internet and to each other. When that trust is broken, the consequences extend far beyond a single gadget. Modern routers and mesh systems come with flashy features, easy app setup, remote management, parental controls, automatic updates, guest networks, and traffic monitoring. What most buyers do not realize is that most of these features rely on cloud connectivity, weak default credentials, and undisclosed ports open by default. These conditions create a broad attack surface that seasoned attackers exploit. Routers are often rushed to market with convenience prioritized over security. In many cases, default passwords never change, and users never update them. Weak authentication and legacy network services remain active, providing an entry point for cybercriminals. These vulnerabilities are not just theoretical, they are documented as some of the most common ways hackers gain unauthorized access to home systems. Once a smart router is compromised, the entire ecosystem of connected devices becomes vulnerable. It's not just one device. Cameras, lights, thermostats, locks, and even computers are suddenly exposed. Attackers can intercept traffic, launch lateral attacks, or siphon personal data flowing through the network. This is far more serious than a standard data breach. It is network takeover. Perhaps the scariest part is that compromised routers can serve as staging grounds for botnets. Modern malware, like the infamous Mirai family of IoT malware, actively scans for insecure endpoints such as routers and embeds them into large networks of controlled devices used for widespread attacks. Once your router is part of that network, it may continue to function normally while silently participating in criminal infrastructure. Smart routers also regularly expose sensitive metadata about connected devices. Even encrypted traffic patterns can reveal times you are home, when you go to sleep, or when your children stream videos. Behavioral data that is invaluable to advertisers and attackers alike. Security researchers have highlighted that IoT traffic leaks measurable patterns even when data is encrypted. Another problem is the lack of industry-wide firmware security standards. Many routers do not receive regular firmware updates. Some manufacturers abandon support within months. That means known vulnerabilities sit unpatched, leaving networks exposed indefinitely. From my perspective, this is one of the most dangerous smart home risks because routers are trusted by every device in the house. Compromising your router is not just about hacking one device. It is about undermining the entire foundation on which your connected life depends. You may think about updating a light bulb firmware or changing a camera password. Few people think about whether their router is a bigger security liability than all other IoT devices combined. That is exactly why this category deserves close scrutiny and why it belongs on this list. 12. Smart TVs with internet connection. I am starting with smart TVs because this is the device people trust the most, while understanding it the least. Television feels passive. It feels harmless. Yet modern smart TVs collect enormous amounts of data. Viewing habits, app usage, browsing behavior, and in some cases voice commands are continuously logged. That data builds a detailed behavioral profile of the household, not just what you watch, but when you are home, how long you stay, and what content keeps your attention. Researchers have shown that many smart TVs and their onboard sensors are vulnerable to unauthorized access. Weak authentication, exposed ports, and insecure applications allow attackers to extract personal data or manipulate system behavior. This is not theoretical. Multiple studies have demonstrated that attackers can inject false data, hijack applications, or monitor activity remotely when security is poorly implemented. Encryption is another major issue. Some smart TV models ship with weak encryption or unencrypted network traffic. That means data traveling between the television and external servers can be intercepted. Anyone with access to the same network or positioned between the device and the internet can potentially observe or tamper with information. For a device placed in living rooms and bedrooms, that exposure matters. Smart TVs are also increasingly targeted in broader Internet of Things breaches. Attackers do not always want the television itself, they want access. A compromised TV becomes a foothold into the home network. Once inside, attackers can move laterally toward phones, laptops, routers, or storage devices. The television becomes a door, not a screen. The most disturbing risk is surveillance. Many smart TVs include cameras or microphones for voice control and video features. When compromised, those components can be turned into remote listening or viewing tools. That possibility changes how this device should be viewed. It is no longer entertainment hardware. It is a networked sensor. From my perspective, the danger lies in invisibility. Smart TVs do their data collection quietly. There are no warning lights when information is transmitted. No alerts when vulnerabilities are exploited. People trust the screen because it looks familiar. That trust is misplaced. And when people finally grow uncomfortable with always watching devices, they often shift the same technology into places that feel more functional. That transition leads directly to the next problem. 11. Smart refrigerators and appliances. Smart refrigerators and kitchen appliances represent the point where convenience quietly turns into infrastructure risk. These devices connect directly to home networks, often with weak default settings that users rarely change. Once connected, they sit there permanently, powered on, listening, and communicating. That makes them attractive targets. Many smart appliances silently upload data to manufacturer servers. Usage patterns, inventory levels, temperature behavior, and sometimes location-related information are transmitted with minimal user control. This data reveals routines: when you cook, when you shop, when you are home. And most users never review or limit what is sent. Security researchers have demonstrated that poorly secured smart appliances can be captured into botnets. A refrigerator does not need to steal data to be dangerous. It can be weaponized. Thousands of compromised appliances can be used together to launch distributed attacks, overwhelm servers, or hide malicious activity behind legitimate consumer devices. Firmware neglect worsens the situation. Many smart appliances receive few updates after purchase. Known vulnerabilities remain unpatched for years. Unlike phones or computers, appliances are expected to last a decade or more. That means outdated software running indefinitely on your network. The most critical risk is network equivalence. A compromised smart fridge has the same network access as a computer on your Wi-Fi. Once attackers gain entry through an appliance, they can pivot. They can scan other devices. They can intercept traffic. They can escalate access quietly. From my investigation, the pattern is consistent. These devices are marketed as tools, not computers. But they behave like computers. They store data. They run software. They connect externally, yet they are protected like toasters. People assume that because an appliance is boring, it must be safe. That assumption is dangerous. Boring devices are ignored. Ignored devices are never secured. When essential household functions depend on internet-connected machines that cannot be audited, updated, or controlled properly, autonomy disappears. Convenience becomes dependency, and dependency creates vulnerability. That is why smart appliances belong on this list. Not because technology is evil, but because security was never the priority. 10. Smart light systems and bulbs. I am placing smart light systems on this list because they look harmless while doing something deeply risky. A light bulb does not feel like a computer. It feels disposable, simple, and safe. Yet modern smart lights use Wi-Fi or Bluetooth connections that can be exploited when security is weak or poorly configured. That alone changes how they should be treated. Many inexpensive smart bulbs ship with weak default credentials and minimal encryption. Some rely on outdated protocols. Others communicate openly across local networks. That makes them easy targets. Attackers do not need sophistication. They need proximity or network access. Once inside, the bulb becomes a listening point, not for sound, but for data. The real danger is placement. Smart lights sit on the same network as phones, laptops, routers, and storage devices. When a light is compromised, it becomes a stepping stone. Attackers use it to map the network, observe traffic, and move laterally toward valuable data. The light itself is irrelevant. Access is everything. Integration makes this worse. Smart lights are often tied into voice assistants, automation platforms, and routines. One command triggers many actions. That interconnectedness multiplies the attack surface. A single vulnerability can cascade across systems. Security becomes collective, not isolated. Research has shown that even when traffic is encrypted, metadata leaks. Timing, frequency, and usage patterns reveal when lights turn on, when rooms are occupied, and when households sleep. Behavior can be inferred without breaking encryption. Privacy erodes quietly. From my perspective, the most dangerous aspect is neglect. People rarely update bulbs. They rarely monitor them. They forget they exist. That makes smart lighting systems perfect hiding places. Always on. Rarely checked. Lighting should illuminate rooms, not expose behavior. When convenience replaces awareness, risk becomes invisible. That invisibility is exactly why smart lights belong here. The moment lighting becomes an access point, attackers start looking for something more valuable than data. They look for doors. 9. Smart garage door openers. Smart garage door openers represent the point where digital insecurity becomes physical danger. These devices connect to Wi-Fi and mobile apps, which means vulnerabilities can translate directly into unauthorized access. This is not abstract. A garage is often the largest unsecured entry point in a home. If a smart opener uses weak encryption or outdated firmware, attackers can intercept signals or replay them. That allows remote opening without breaking anything. No forced entry, no noise, just access. Integration compounds the risk. Many garage openers connect to voice assistants and automation routines. If one device is compromised, others follow. A command meant for convenience becomes an exploit pathway. The system assumes trust that attackers abuse. Password policy is another problem. Some smart openers do not enforce strong credentials by default. That leaves them vulnerable to brute force attacks. Once credentials are guessed, control is complete. A garage breach is not just about a car. Garages often connect directly to the home. Tools, storage, and interior doors become accessible. In automation-heavy homes, a garage breach can trigger lights, unlock doors, or disable alarms. From my investigation, this is the most underestimated smart device category. People secure front doors and ignore garages. Attackers do the opposite. Physical security should never depend on firmware behaving perfectly. When access relies on apps, servers, and wireless signals, failure becomes inevitable. That is why smart garage door openers are not just risky, they are dangerous. 8. Smart smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. I am including smart smoke and carbon monoxide detectors because this is where safety technology quietly creates a new class of risk. These devices are marketed as life-saving upgrades, and that framing lowers skepticism immediately. People trust them because they are designed to protect against invisible danger. That trust is exactly what makes their weaknesses so serious. Smart detectors connect to home networks, so they can send alerts remotely. That connectivity creates a pathway into the home system. Once a detector is online, it behaves like any other Internet of Things device. It transmits data, receives commands, and depends on software integrity. If that software is weak, the detector becomes an entry point. If compromised, attackers can trigger false alerts. That may sound minor until you consider the consequences. Repeated false alarms condition people to ignore warnings. Panic responses fade. When a real emergency occurs, hesitation replaces urgency. In safety systems, reliability is everything. Undermining trust in alerts undermines protection itself. Security researchers have identified that some smart detectors lack secure firmware update mechanisms. That means known vulnerabilities can persist indefinitely. Unlike phones or laptops, detectors are rarely checked or replaced. They are mounted and forgotten. An unpatched detector can remain vulnerable for years without the owner knowing. Privacy risks also matter. Smart detectors share event data, when alerts trigger, when silence returns, and how often the device activates all reveal patterns. Those patterns show when people are home, asleep, or away. Over time, that data paints a schedule. Even without video or audio, presence is exposed. The most dangerous aspect is network pivoting. A compromised detector sits quietly on the same network as other devices. Attackers can use it to scan, observe traffic, and move laterally. From a safety device, they can reach cameras, locks, or personal data. The detector becomes camouflage. From my perspective, this category is disturbing because the risk is inverted. The device meant to warn you becomes the weakness you never suspect. You trust it absolutely. You do not monitor it. You do not question it. Smoke and carbon monoxide detectors should be boring. They should not require cloud services, analytics, or remote access to function. When life safety depends on uninterrupted connectivity and perfect software behavior, failure becomes unacceptable. That is why smart detectors belong here. Not because technology is evil, but because critical. Safety systems should reduce risk, not quietly introduce new ones. The next devices that I'm going to talk about are even worse when it comes to protecting your privacy. 7. Cheap no-name smart cameras, generic Wi-Fi cameras from Amazon, Temu, AliExpress. I am starting here because this is where smart homes quietly become surveillance targets. Cheap no-name smart cameras are sold as simple security tools, yet multiple independent investigations have shown that many of them ship with weak or non-existent encryption. That means video feeds, audio streams, and login credentials travel across the internet barely protected, if protected at all. When a device handles video inside your home, that is not a minor flaw. That is a fundamental failure. Default passwords are another serious issue. Many of these cameras are shipped with factory credentials that users never change, either because the setup process does not force it or because instructions are unclear. Attackers know this. Automated scanning tools crawl the internet looking for exposed cameras, and when they find them, access is immediate. In some documented cases, live feeds from bedrooms, living rooms, and front doors were publicly accessible without hacking at all. Firmware support is almost non-existent. Once these cameras are sold, updates stop. Vulnerabilities remain unpatched for years. Some models never receive a single security update after launch. That means every flaw discovered stays exploitable permanently. When security researchers warn about risks, there is often no manufacturer response. Data handling raises even more concern. Some of these devices route footage through overseas servers with no clear disclosure. Users have no idea where their video is stored, who can access it, or how long it is retained. Once compromised, attackers can spy, listen, and sometimes pivot into the wider home network. These are not gadgets. They are liabilities disguised as bargains. And as bad as it gets here, the next category proves that even major brands can quietly take control away from the user. 6. Smart doorbells with cloud-only storage, certain Ring and similar models. Smart doorbells feel safer because they come from recognizable brands, but cloud-only storage introduces a different and more subtle kind of risk that most buyers never think about. Video footage is not stored inside your home. It is uploaded to company servers that you do not own, do not control, and cannot audit. That single design choice changes the entire ownership equation. You are not managing your footage. You are temporarily accessing it under conditions set by someone else. Law enforcement access controversies expose this reality to the public. In multiple documented cases, footage sharing policies allowed third-party access under certain circumstances. Even when companies later adjusted policies, the damage was done. Trust does not automatically return once it is broken. Privacy becomes dependent on corporate discretion rather than personal authority, and that is a dangerous trade for a device pointed at your front door. Subscriptions intensify the pressure. Many smart doorbells lock essential functions behind monthly payments. Without an active subscription, recording history shrinks or disappears entirely. If servers go down, features degrade immediately. During outages, these doorbells can become little more than motion sensors with no memory, no history, and no accountability. Footage retention policies change quietly. What was stored yesterday may be deleted tomorrow. What was private today may be accessible later. Users are rarely asked directly. Terms update, emails go unread, and control slips away gradually rather than suddenly. That erosion is intentional. There is also the issue of permanence. Once footage leaves your home and enters the cloud, it can be copied, shared, analyzed, or retained beyond your awareness. Deleting an app does not delete data already processed. Convenience creates distance between action and consequence. From my perspective, cloud-only smart doorbells replace control with convenience and call it security. Ownership becomes conditional. Safety depends on servers staying online, policies remaining favorable, and companies acting in your interest indefinitely. That is not security. That is trust without leverage. A front door camera should answer to the homeowner, not a corporate dashboard. And until that balance shifts, avoidance is the wiser choice for now. And unfortunately, when you move from front doors to children's rooms, the risks become far more disturbing. 5. Smart baby monitors with internet connectivity. This is the category that genuinely alarms me. Internet-connected baby monitors have been repeatedly compromised, with documented cases of strangers speaking to children through hacked devices. That alone should end the discussion for many parents. Authentication is often weak. Reused credentials, poor password enforcement, and outdated Wi-Fi protocols leave these devices exposed. Parents assume safety because the product is marketed for babies. That assumption is exactly what attackers exploit. Many monitors rely on older security standards that no longer meet modern expectations. Firmware updates are irregular or non-existent. Vulnerabilities remain open long after being discovered. The placement of these devices makes everything worse. Cameras are positioned in the most sensitive rooms, bedrooms, nurseries, spaces where privacy should be absolute. When compromised, the violation is not theoretical. It is intimate. Parents rarely think of baby monitors as internet endpoints, yet that is exactly what they are. Once breached, attackers can observe routines, listen to conversations, and in some cases access other connected devices. This is not about paranoia. It is about risk concentration. High trust, weak security, and sensitive placement is a dangerous combination. And yet, even with all this, the next device category dares to control something far more critical. 4. Smart locks with Bluetooth or Wi-Fi dependence. Smart locks represent the point where digital failure becomes physical vulnerability, and that alone should make people pause before installing them. A door lock is not a convenience gadget, it is a security device. And security devices should work regardless of software updates, cloud services, or battery charge. Many smart locks fail that basic requirement. Battery failure is the most immediate risk. When batteries die unexpectedly, users can be locked out of their own homes. This is not a rare scenario. Owners report waking up to unresponsive locks, failed keypad input, and dead apps with no warning. A traditional lock does not stop working because power runs out. A smart lock does. Bluetooth relay attacks expose a deeper weakness. Security researchers have demonstrated that attackers can intercept and relay Bluetooth signals, tricking locks into opening without physical access. This does not require advanced hacking skills. It exploits design assumptions that convenience outweighs threat modeling. When entry depends on wireless signals, distance becomes irrelevant. Software instability compounds the danger. Firmware bugs have disabled locking mechanisms entirely, leaving doors stuck open or sealed shut. Cloud outages have removed remote access precisely when users needed it most. When a lock relies on servers to function properly, failure shifts from unlikely to inevitable. Physical override mechanisms are often poorly designed. Backup keys jam, snap, or fail to disengage electronic components. Some models hide manual access behind fragile panels that break under stress. When digital systems fail, physical fallbacks should be reliable. Too often, they are not. Repeated independent testing has shown that many popular smart locks can be bypassed using basic tools or predictable exploits. These are not theoretical vulnerabilities. They are demonstrated weaknesses that manufacturers patch slowly, if at all. From my perspective, a door lock should never depend on perfect software behavior. Software always fails eventually. Servers go offline. Batteries drain. Updates introduce new bugs. When entry to your home depends on all of those things working flawlessly at the same time, security becomes conditional rather than absolute. A lock is supposed to be boring, predictable, and dependable. Smart locks are none of those things. They trade certainty for novelty, and when that trade fails, the consequences are immediate and personal. Until smart locks can guarantee offline operation, resilient fallbacks, and proven resistance to wireless exploits, avoiding them remains the safest option for anyone who values real security over app-based convenience. This is where smart stops being clever and starts being reckless. Before we proceed further, subscribe, like, and comment why you like this video for a chance to win a new Apple MacBook. 3. Voice assistants with always-on microphones. I am warning people about voice assistants because this is where convenience quietly turns into constant exposure. Devices with always-on microphones are designed to listen continuously, waiting for wake words, but that passive listening never truly switches off. The microphone is active by default, the data pipeline is live, and the assumption of privacy is already broken before anything goes wrong. Accidental recordings are a documented reality. Voice assistants have repeatedly captured conversations they were never meant to hear, then uploaded those recordings to cloud servers. In several high-profile cases, users discovered that private moments, arguments, or background conversations were stored and associated with their accounts. These were not edge cases. They were structural failures caused by false wake detections. Human review made the situation worse. Past scandals confirmed that recordings were sometimes reviewed by contractors for quality control. Even when anonymized, the idea that strangers could listen to fragments of domestic life should unsettle anyone. Consent was vague. Awareness was minimal. Trust was assumed. Data retention policies add another layer of risk. What is stored today may be kept longer tomorrow. Companies reserve the right to change how long recordings exist, and how they are used. Users rarely revisit settings. Privacy erodes gradually rather than suddenly. Third-party skills expand the attack surface. Each added feature introduces new code, new permissions, and new vulnerabilities. A compromised skill can expose far more than intended. Once the device itself is compromised, it becomes a listening device inside your home. From my perspective, convenience does not mean consent. A microphone that never truly sleeps should never be trusted blindly. And as invasive as listening devices are, the next category shows what happens when basic utilities are handed over to servers. 2. Smart thermostats that require internet to function. Fully smart thermostats feel harmless until connectivity becomes a requirement rather than a feature. Many models depend on constant internet access to perform basic functions. When the connection drops, control degrades. When servers fail, autonomy disappears. There are documented cases where cloud shutdowns permanently bricked thermostats. Companies exited markets or discontinued services, leaving customers with hardware that could no longer be configured or controlled. Heating stopped being a function and became a subscription-dependent service. Occupancy data collection deepens the risk. Smart thermostats continuously learn household patterns, recording when people are home, asleep, or away. That data is valuable, sensitive, and attractive to attackers. Account takeovers expose not just temperature settings, but daily routines. Security flaws have allowed attackers to access thermostat accounts remotely. Once inside, malicious users can manipulate heating, infer schedules, or cause damage by disabling systems in cold conditions. This is not theoretical. It has already happened. What troubles me most is dependency. Heating is essential. When it depends on servers staying alive, companies staying solvent, and passwords staying secure, the user loses control over something fundamental. From my perspective, temperature control should never be conditional. When heat becomes a service rather than a function, resilience disappears. And yet, even with comfort and privacy at risk, the final category introduces a danger that can escalate from inconvenience to catastrophe. 1. Smart plugs and power strips from unknown brands. This is where smart homes cross into physical danger. Smart plugs and power strips from unknown brands combine poor electrical design with weak cybersecurity, creating risks that go far beyond data. Electrical certification is often unclear or misleading. Some devices lack proper safety testing. Overheating and melting incidents have been reported, particularly under sustained load. Cheap internal components fail silently until damage is done. Automation increases the danger. When firmware is insecure or abandoned, plugs may misfire, overload, or fail to shut off. A malfunctioning smart plug does not just stop working, it can overheat, spark, or ignite. These devices also act as network entry points. Poorly secured firmware allows attackers to compromise them easily, then move laterally through the home network. What starts as a plug becomes a gateway. From my perspective, a device that handles electricity must be trusted absolutely. Unknown brands selling cheap automation gamble with safety. Fire risk is not hypothetical. When automation fails, consequences escalate quickly. Saving money here is not frugal. It is reckless. Smart homes should reduce risk, not multiply it.